So the more we look at polling, the more we might think that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have this election in the bag. But consider for a moment that even if the polls are both perfectly accurate and don't change between now and Election Day, what about voter suppression? Because the Supreme Court just showed us that at least three of the justices are more than willing to throw out absentee ballots. And that is not priced into the polls in any way. The Supreme Court has reinstated South Carolina's witness signature requirement for absentee ballots. They did this earlier this week. That alone is a decision that could decide whether Lindsey Graham is reelected as a Republican incumbent in South Carolina or whether challenger Jamie Harrison from the Democratic Party removes incumbent Lindsey Graham. That is what the stakes are here. And it means that South Carolinians, including those infected with coronavirus, will once again need witnesses to sign their ballot envelopes. So think that through for a second. You have coronavirus, or you want to avoid getting it. You have it and want to avoid spreading it, or you shouldn't go out, or you want to avoid getting it from someone else. You just want to be as safe as possible. You request an absentee ballot. Beautiful. You get the absentee ballot. Perfect. You fill out the absentee ballot correctly. Lovely. But before you send it in, you need to find a witness to sign the envelope for you that says it's really you voting. It's really you sending this thing in. It's pointless because that signature could, of course, be forged. It risks spreading the virus, and it will almost certainly lead to the nullification of ballots. But that's not the worst of it. It's even worse, potentially, because Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch would have been willing not just to say that these ballots going forward must have a witness signature, but Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch actually were ready to say this rule should be applied retroactively. So I really need people to understand this. Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch would be on board with saying ballots already received by South Carolina election officials before this decision was made about witness signatures, those ballots should be thrown out, even though at the time that folks sent their ballots in, this witness signature rule was not yet the rule. It is outrageous and extreme. And what it signals to me is that if indeed they get Amy Coney Barrett confirmed to the Supreme Court, and if indeed this entire presidential election starts to extend into November and starts to involve courts, there are already three. Amy Coney Barrett could be a fourth. And then it's just a question mark. What will John Roberts do? What will others do? They are willing to actually interfere in ways that are material. These are not theoretical things. These are not things that might have an impact, but 2 or 4 years from now. This is right now. And had they gotten this rule passed, the retroactive requirement for witness signatures, that would have led to, I don't even know how many ballots being thrown out. That could have led to Lindsey Graham winning, even if Jamie Harrison would otherwise have won. I mean, we don't know. That's going to be a tight race, and it's an uphill battle for Jamie Harrison. But the point here is the Trump administration is going to use this to their advantage in any way that they can. The Trump campaign has an army of lawyers ready to do anything they can in any state they can do it to see what they can get away with. Biden has a team of lawyers, but are they ready? As I've said before, it's much more difficult to play defense because you need to anticipate every strategy that Trump can use. Trump might have 10 different strategies lawyers will use, and Biden's lawyers might anticipate 9 of them. And it could be that 10th one that actually gets you in the end. So they really need to be prepared because Trump wants to win. Trump at this point can only win by preventing people from voting, by dissuading people from voting, by having people's votes not counted. And Republicans have repeatedly said in public that this is the plan. No one should be surprised now that they are actually making the plan a reality. And if it comes to just a couple of states, which it might, and the Supreme Court invalidates hundreds of thousands of votes, more than that, will there be a revolt? I actually think, I don't have I have what I think is a realistic assessment that most people can't afford to miss the next day of work, and most people are not going to mass rally and go protest because they have people to feed and money to make and bills to pay. And I understand that. But I actually think that if it appears as though a Supreme Court with multiple justices on it selected by Donald Trump starts invalidating votes and potentially flips the election to Trump, I do believe there will be complete actual chaos in the streets. I believe we will see mass rallies. I do believe that. And I rarely am of that mindset. Let me know what you think. If you love feeding your intellectual curiosity, but you're always struggling to find the time, check out one of my all-time favorite apps called Blinkist. Blinkist lets you consume an entire book on your way home from work. They take thousands of popular nonfiction books, condense each one into text or audio that you can get through in just 15 minutes, and you get all of the important core ideas and information from that book. It's perfect if you don't have enough time to do all the reading you want to do, or if you just want to sample a book before you buy the entire thing. I recently read A Brief History of Time, of course, by the great Stephen Hawking. This is a book that I have been aware of for so long, and other things got in the way, and it was fantastic to check it out on Blinkist. Blinkist has books on politics, philosophy, science. They have 27 different nonfiction categories, and a subscription is only about $8 a month, and you get the entire library. But you can try it totally free and get 25% off a subscription when you go to Blinkist.com/Pakman. I've put the link right underneath this video.